Hello, good evening. Coming to you on May 4th. So, May the 4th, force, whatever you think of, be with you. So glad to have you here. As I said, may the fourth be with you, or force, or forest, whatever it is that resonates with you. So glad that you are tuning in on our YouTube live channel, perhaps right now, or you're watching the replay. And I'm really glad that you're tuning into yourself. So we're going to do some yin yoga with a little bit of yang, a little bit of things mixed in there, a little bit of humor, a little, perhaps maybe if you find me funny, a little bit of opportunity to create your own humor or your own poetry or thoughts. So if you've got a journal and a pen, you might want to have that handy as well. And, these props that I have listed here are, obviously you can substitute different things for them. You see that I have my bolster and I have blocks, but you may also, just grab some good cushions and pillows. You can certainly just grab towels, whatever you've got handy to give you the space or opportunity to make some more space by kind of lifting up the ground a little bit for you to give your body the proper space that you need. So I have some folks who are tuning in that have practiced with me before. You may be more familiar when I'm in the studio for my practice and class offering at 7 a.m. on Friday. That then changed to 9 a.m. on Thursday with me, and I'm coming to you on a Monday night, 5:30, as we're recording this. I haven't taught in an evening time frame in a really long time, so bear with me. Hopefully, I still have my words after working all day. And there'll be plenty of times for me not to have my words fill the space so that you can fill it with your words, with your thoughts, with your reflections. So to get us started, I just wanted to kind of think about this for a moment. You see that I'm wearing lots of layers right now, even got my fun toe socks. And, I was thinking about it like yesterday, I was like in this, right? It's like one of my bathing suits, right? Maybe I wasn't in exactly this, but do you see similarities between what I could potentially have worn yesterday and what I'm wearing today? Yeah. If you know what the similarity is to what I wore yesterday to what I'm wearing today, go ahead and add that in the comments so that we can see who is on the money. So that we can start ourselves here with just a little bit of humor, a little bit of enjoying the fact that yesterday it was, I think, a high of like 76 maybe here in Northeast Ohio. And I haven't looked at what the weather is today or what the temperature is, but it feels a little bit cooler out there. So don't think that I want to wear this today, obviously, unless you are one of my friends who do cold therapy, then perhaps you might be wanting to wear that. So do I have any takers that you want to add in the comments? What were the similarities? It looks like, can I see any comments here? All right, I don't see a comment there, so I'll give you the answer. There's pink on top, black on bottom. That's about the only similarity we got today in what I was wearing yesterday to today. So with that, we're gonna ride the tide, ride the wave here of what we've got. So let's come on to our mat and find whatever comfortable seat for you, whatever that looks like. If you want to be up on a blanket or up on a block, that might help. If your knees are a little tight and your hips are a little tight and your knees come up, you may want to be on that block to help you tilt the pelvis bowl forward and to get some more of that grounding in the knees. For you, you may want to have those props, whether it's the blocks or whether it is some books or some pillows. You may want to have those up under your knees as well. If the cross-legged doesn't work, you can simply let them be out long and find some way to settle in here. As we think about how things can change so rapidly one day to the next. Maybe it's a bit of news. Maybe it's a new work assignment. Maybe it's the weather. Anything we know can come into our mind space, to our emotional space, our physical space, and shift. So if you are shifting right now, shift a little, wiggle it, and then see if you can come to a place and transition into a place of stillness with me. It doesn't have to be a perfect space. It could be still a little, perhaps a little discomfort where you're sitting, the way you're sitting. And then I just want you to be aware of that. Notice that. Take some time here to scan the body. Notice where you may be getting a little call, a little tinge, a little twinkle of sensation in the body. We all may hold an injury, may hold some kind of imbalance. So inviting compassion to it, kind of caring for it, not cursing it out. Just like we're not cursing out the weather for being a little colder today than yesterday. We're just riding it, feeling that transition, feeling that difference. And then as you work through, scan the whole body. Start where you'd like. Maybe it's on one side, in the lower half, and then the other half. So again, we're sitting in any way that allows you to find some stillness. Take 2 more breaths, scanning the body, becoming aware of the landscape that you have. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come to a breath work, a pranayama, to help us kind of refocus, to maybe clear out the mind, transition from what we were working on in the day, and kind of move into hopefully, an evening that you really want to cultivate. And so we're going to find bee breath. And so for bee breath, we're going to make the humming sound of a bee. And if you have been outside, like I have been a ton, especially over the weekend, we see a ton of amazing bees, so many different variety of bees out there doing their job. And that's what we're doing here, right? We're just doing our job. So for this bee breath, you're going to take your pointer finger and you're going to use that pointer finger to kind of close off this outside part of the ear. I apologize, I forget what that's called. And so we're just going to allow a little gentle pressure. Will be on both ears. And we're going to just find a breath in and a humming exhale out. I want you to find 3 to 5 of those breaths. And obviously, as you begin to do this, you'll tone me out, which is great. So find 3 to 5 in a comfortable seat of bee breath. Inhaling, exhaling, humming it out. When you've completed 3 to 5 of the bee breaths, I want you to come to a gentle forward fold, being really generous to bend your knees. And as you come into this forward fold, knees bent, perhaps you've got your blocks or your bolster or stool, whatever will allow you to find this gentle forward fold. If you've got any issues with blood pressure, high or low blood pressure or vertigo, Then I want you to come to a halfway lift. You can even just put your hands right on the lower part of your thighs, right above your knee. If it is available to you to find more of a fold with knees generously bent, or perhaps your hamstrings back here are feeling okay to find that straight leg. And then bring your hands to your opposite elbows, and we're going to find a dangling pose here, allowing the top half of the body to meet the bottom half. Finding some honoring of this lower half here, rooting into the ground, surrendering the top half, the heart, the mind, down into the earth. Lift your toes wherever you are and then lower them down. Gently place them on the earth. Just as we gently allow ourselves to walk upon this earth with all the winged things and the fin things and the fur and the scaly things, four-legged, the two-legged. Just let yourself here root into that same earth gently, lightly. 2 more breaths here. Again, staying up halfway. If you've got any issues with blood pressure, concerns with blood pressure, or vertigo, if you're all the way folded, come to a halfway lift, allowing yourself to find a long spine from tailbone to crown of your head. And then rooting through your feet. Inhale, lift your hands straight out in front of you. Find some strength here, some movement of the arms lifting up, and then see if you can keep them stable. Extending right out from your shoulders to your fingertips. Exhale, fold. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, come halfway up, and then on the next inhale, lengthen the arms straight out in front of you. Keep looking down to the middle part of your toes, right in between. Find a drishti that's nice and easy there. 1 more breath here, and then on the next exhale, find a fold. We'll do that with more fluidity now. So inhale, come up, extend the arms, take a big breath in here. Exhale, let it out, maybe with a sound. Maybe that felt so good. I know it did for me. We'll try it 1 more time. Inhale, come up. Halfway extended arms. Exhale. Nice job. We're going to extend the left foot forward into the front short edge of your mat or whatever direction you are facing here. Let one leg be forward, the other leg back, and then go ahead and lower that back knee. If you've got your stool, your blocks, your cushions, whatever that may be, allow them to support you to come a little more upright. And then finding yourself here, wherever that may be, find 3 more breaths. This is a dragon pose here. So allow yourself to root down into the ground. Feel that uprising of the breath. And maybe when you breathe out, you're like breathing out breath like fire, like a dragon. Let those sounds that you'd like to make come out, or keep them quietly in your head, just as we did the bee breath. And then as you begin to transition, if you need to wiggle that a little bit, we're going to find the other leg. So transition in the way that feels right for you. Coming in to this dragon pose on the second side, maybe you need to elevate even higher. Again, maybe as we noticed and took inventory earlier, we know that one side might be kind of talking to us a little bit more. You might notice what hip for me feels a little more intense. And as we come into this dragon pose, notice again, if there's a sound as you exhale, like you are breathing some fire, as you are breathing out some tension, allowing yourself to transition to a quieter space, to cozier, more comfort. Allow yourself to empty out any sounds, any thoughts that you need to. One more breath. And then this time we're going to transition to a kneeling posture. In this kneeling posture, if curling your toes feels okay here, then I invite you to do that. And if that is too much for you, you can allow the tops of the feet to be down. If you've got any issues with your knees, you can simply come to a seat for a moment here. And as you stay upright, inhale your hands up overhead. Soften those shoulders down your back. And then we're going to fold at the elbows and allow your hands to come on your low back. And we'll kind of weave the fingers together, letting the fingers be long, but kind of weave together. So if you need another visual here, I'll do it close for you. So we're going to do that around our back. And this is dragonfly pose here. So you can stay sitting or kneeling more upright, or if you'd like to come down into like hero's pose, perhaps with a block, or you want to keep those toes tucked and come down onto your heels. And we're going to find ourselves here in dragonfly pose for about 10 rounds of breath. Notice as you come into this posture, you need to shift it a little. Make some adjustments with how you're sitting so that you can have a tall spine. In these yin postures, we are really incorporating some engagement, some effort, some real steadiness, but then allow yourself to find a little softness, a little groundedness. Are you counting that breath? I think I lost count. So let's try for 4 more here. Allow those wings to open any bit more, letting the heart shine. Great job. Notice which hand is kind of a little higher than the other. So noticing your pointer finger and which one is a little higher than the other. Just kind of take stock, take notice to that. And then bring your hands onto your knees. Curl your chin to your chest. Inhale, come back upright. And then just allow your head to tilt to either side. Let your ear kind of drop down towards your shoulder any bit. Maybe the hands want to dangle right down by your sides, or rest them palms down on your legs. Take 3 more breaths here into the neck space. And then inhaling, uprighting your head here. Just take 2 breaths back in alignment. And we'll shift the other ear to the other shoulder. And then noticing if the way that the bottom half of you is, if that is supporting what's going on to release your neck. Sometimes we can transition the tension from one place to another. And notice if it's releasing. You can soften it. If it's too uncomfortable, please make the adjustment to honor yourself. Taking 2 more breaths, letting the ear come down towards the shoulder, with hands dangled or supported. And inhaling, uprighting the head, finding, again, a long spine, and then exhale, chin to the chest. All right, you remember that dragonfly? Remember which hand was on top? Can you rotate it so the other hand is on? But before we do that, I'm going to invite you to transition to kind of giving some tapping, some movement in the legs, and then finding a different way to sit. And you can simply come onto your blocks and your props, and we'll find this butterfly or this dragonfly posture with the other hand elevated above. So we're keeping those fingers extended, leaving them in between one another. And as you do this, perhaps you want to allow the wings of your dragonfly to arch back a little bit more. See if you can keep your ribs hugged in. So we've got a long spine, and then we're just allowing the heart to shine more here. We're only going to stay here this time for 5 breaths. So find 4 more sweet breaths in and out. Perhaps there's a sound of a dragonfly that you would like to make with that breath. Find it for 2 more breaths. Final sweet breath here in dragonfly. And then as you release, I invite you to just pause. Come to stillness, scanning the body again. And this time I want you to notice, as we've done that, like a little heart opener, maybe even a slight little bit back bend for you. Notice what your body is calling for. Maybe there's some movement. Maybe there's some coming into a pose and just being still in that pose. Notice what that is for you. And taking 3 breaths to transition in the way that works best for you. Either moving through some postures or holding in a posture of your choice. And next we're going to transition to being on the floor with the legs long, and grab some of those props to kind of lay and rest on your legs. This is caterpillar pose. And so in this caterpillar pose, you want to bring that earth up to you in any way that feels right. So nice practicing in the living room where you've got all these extra cushions and pillows around, blankets to kind of nestle up. The nice thing about it being cooler today is that yin yoga is meant to be done when the body is cool. And so this is just aiding our practice here to get into this connective tissues, into the joints. And so as we come into this, you may notice that where your back is and where your hips are today, that range of motion may be different than it is other times. So take some time here to kind of investigate your new landscape that is today. It may be very different from yesterday. And allow yourself to fold in, just as we did before for our dangling pose. Standing, notice here, we don't have to keep ourselves in that standing posture, but we can still find our fold here. I'm going to set the timer here for 3 minutes for us to be in this fold, this gentle surrendering to the earth here. And before you kind of settle, take some time to notice. You want to make some more adjustments, get some more props. And remember, not going to be perfect. You just want to be able to be still here now. So take 2 more breaths to find it, find that stillness. Be okay right where you are. Being aware of the sensations and how what we're doing on the mat might come up for us a little discomfort. Notice how you might work with that with the breath. Maybe again, there's a sound. I'm not in your living room, so it could be whatever word or sound you wish to make. Notice where you can soften. Let the toes be relaxed, pointing away from you. Let the heart melt. Shoulders going forward, so making more space in the back body. Find 3 more breaths. And as you slowly come up, uprighting that spine, maybe remove those props away. Again, noticing what your body might need. So take a moment to transition out of that into a place of stillness, inventorying the body, being aware of what would feel like a good counter to that caterpillar pose. Maybe it's bending the knees and letting the hands be underneath the shoulders, pointing fingers towards your toes, lifting the knees up a little bit, keeping a gaze up to the sky, and coming back down. Again, I invite you to do you, to find what might work for you to transition. Maybe what I am doing will work. Maybe it's something else. I'd love to see and hear what that is for you. And then we're going to come into our next posture. It's going to be very similar to what we just did, but this time we're going to allow the legs to open up, become a little bit wider. As you widen those legs, again, to the angle that works for you to keep yourself in a relaxed state here. So we're not trying to put a lot of strain, but we do want to create a little bit of positive stress on the body. As we come into this, you may decide that staying upright is right what you need in this moment, or perhaps folding forward onto our props, ensuring that you've got the proper support for the neck so that from the work that we did earlier, we are not kind of reversing that. So trying to keep a nice alignment of the spine. So from tailbone to the crown of the head, can you feel a straight line? Again, this practice invites us to really look within. Look at our responsiveness in times of change. Notice how we show up in those moments where we need to pivot and transition. Maybe it makes us a little uncomfortable. And our practice on the mat helps us to kind of be able to find comfort even when there's situations that are uncomfortable. And what brings you comfort? Perhaps it's the breath. We're going to stay here for 2 more minutes. And I invite you to stay in this posture as long as you're able. There may show up to be some discomfort, some sensations. And just check in with those sensations and where they are on a scale for you as to what would be defined as a discomfort or a pain. If it's painful, please honor yourself and come out. If you're able to breathe with and in and through that discomfort, I invite you to do that. Notice how working with the breath and tuning into that can help us ease through this discomfort, through those transitions. Great job. We have one more minute. Two more breaths here. And then we'll transition into uprighting our upper half, finding a pause, noticing what we might need to transition to next. Perhaps a little bit of movement or a little bit of holding in a different posture for you. So before we transition, taking that time to pause, notice what it is that we might need. Make the next right step. Perhaps for you, bringing those legs out long and giving them a little shake, a little swish, a little wave side to side. Great job. As you're coming into the space now, if there's something that you find that your journal would be helpful for you to capture, kind of a thought or a sensation or some kind of realization or awareness, I invite you to take some time to maybe transition to a pause in being in that journal. And then we're going to come and transition when you are ready onto the back. I'm going to turn the screen a little bit so you can see a little bit more of the mat. Awesome. As we come into the space now, a little bit more grounded, go ahead and hug those knees into the chest. And as you hug those knees, see if you can hug them evenly, just a little gentle pressure, perhaps on the shin, allowing us to curl up here, nestle up into a ball or an egg shape. Find two more breaths here. Notice how when you breathe, the belly expands and the legs give it a little pressure onto the belly. And then see if you can completely empty out, letting the belly button go towards the earth, hollowing out, emptying out even more. Again, allow that inhale to just kind of ride in and swoop in some breath. And then be aware of the exhale even greater and allow a little more awareness to be in completely emptying out the breath. When you think you can't empty out anymore, find just a little bit more release, those knees hugged in. And then we're going to allow the right leg to go long, the left knee to stay hugged in. You can allow both hands now to be either on the outside lower part of the knee or behind the knee, or perhaps you just want the hands to be on the belly or on the earth and just let that knee find its natural fold. For those of you that would like a little bit more, you could take a block or a cushion, a prop, and place it on the lowest level, on the low part of the back, the sacral, and keep that leg long, or maybe put a little bend in it. Totally optional there. That just for anyone who might be really wanting a little more psoas stretch. And we're going to pause here. We'll set our timer for 1 minute. As you come here, notice you can let the toes relax and be away from the knees. Notice if you can settle those shoulders. So if reaching up for that bent knee in any way heightens the shoulders, then go ahead and release that down. We want to feel this compression in on that left side, hugging in, and find other parts of the body to settle, to let go as much as possible. We all maybe have things in our life where it really stresses us, physically, mentally, emotionally. But there is good stress. Stressing our muscles, our brain, or our physical muscles through the body. Go ahead and allow now a release of that. You can let both legs be long. If you're on the block, I invite you to come off of the block just to find a moment to settle and become aware of the effects. Allowing blood to flow back into the places that we've put a little bit of stress and compression to. And then again, continuing our theme, noticing if here, after this pause, if there's some way you need to move your body before we set up for that in the second side. So if there's something else that you need, I invite you to take that. Perhaps it's moving the hands overhead, finding a nice long stretch or an arch to one side and then the other. And then when you are ready, we're going to set up for our second side here. As you find this hug in, find it without the block first, and then decide if that block will support you. Finding maybe the right positioning for this side, it might be different, so that we can keep those shoulders relaxed, toes relaxed, the extended leg relaxed. If that block supports you in this, find it on the lower level, right at the sacral area, sacrum. As you come in, we're going to start the timer for 1 minute. You're able to be in the space for 1 minute. Notice where there's effort to be here. Notice if you can drop away some of that effort. Notice we don't have to have the experience. It won't be the same experience on one side as the other. The body has these differences. Maybe we tend to stress and favor one side when we do an activity. Like if you're a soccer player, you know, or a surfer or a snowboarder. I even notice it in my cycling. There's one side you might favor a little more than the other. Maybe those muscles have gotten that necessary strength, a stretch and stress to strengthen them just a little bit more than the other. There's a little more tension there. Find 2 more breaths here and then release. Release in a way that you can let both legs be long and relaxed. Bring awareness to the differences that you can be aware of and noticing sensations in one side versus the other. And again, I will invite you to take a posture or some movement that feels right and true for you and your body. Maybe it's staying right here, tuning more into your breath or into your curiosity of how your body responds to good stress, stress that strengthens us, that stretches us, allows us to take flight and soar to new heights. And then wherever you are, I invite you to hug those knees back into the chest. And then we're going to take a little rock from side to side. Just let that rock be nice and gentle to the left and to the right. And the next time you pass through center, allow your feet to plant down onto the earth. Let your heels be as close to your bottoms as feels comfortable, and then pressing in through your whole of both feet and lift your hips higher and higher and higher until you've reached your level of comfort. And then exhale, drop that back down slowly lower. Take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, begin to press through your feet and lift those hips higher and higher and higher. And then inhale it back down. Find a pause. And then as you exhale, allow the hips to lift. Keep emptying out. Keep finding a lift. And then as you lower, allow the inhale to just ride in nice and gently without effort. And then settle all the way back down to the ground. Planting through your feet, lift your hips and shift them to the left side and your knees to the right. So as you come in to a twist here, allow your hands to kind of come out like wings, like the knees come over towards the right, perhaps with a block or a pillow underneath. Your gaze can be up at the sky or look away in the opposite direction of your knees. And you may decide to stay right here. Perhaps for you, you'd like to cross your legs and find like an eagle legs, like you're in eagle pose, laying down. Or another option for you would be to let the bottom leg come all the way behind you and reach for your toes. And then the top leg extending long and reach for your big toe. Again, notice if you do any of these, where does it put some stress into the body? Where does tension go? Is that where you want it to be? Perhaps let go. Maybe you really wanted to reach for both toes, but instead, maybe you just reach for the back toes. Be wherever you come to land. We'll start the timer for 1 minute. allowing yourself to settle onto this earth. Maybe there's that image of a dragonfly or an eagle or a bee, whatever kind of comes to your mind from different postures that we've taken tonight. Imagine that in your mind space. What does it look like? What sound does it make? Where does it adventure? Where does it settle and where is it busy at work? Where does it rest? What does it eat? As you allow that image to be in your mind, hold it there, and then let yourself come back to being on your back, maybe hugging the knees in asymmetrically, and then allow both legs to be long. Just take a pause here. Feel the effects of that reclined twist. Notice where you can feel its benefits. Would it positively stress the body? And how, when we come out of it, that's where a lot of the work is really happening. The blood circulates back in as we allow the time for it to do so, to rebound. And then when you're ready, we'll plant both soles of our feet back on the earth. If you need a little more swishing and flapping of your wings, your knees, you can do that. And then land into that twist, letting the hips kind of move over to the opposite direction as you land down your lower limbs, letting those wings open as you settle onto your back in this twist. And taking time here to feel if you need a prop underneath the bent knees, if you want to find those eagle legs, or just simply a gentle little cross of the knees. Perhaps you're really wanting to play and reach for grabbing your tail here. So this is cat pulling tail as you reach for the big toe of the bottom bent knee and the big toe of the straight top leg. Gaze away in the opposite direction of the knees. We'll find 1 minute here. Again, making this space, this time to see how this feels to be here. Maybe you feel like you're stretching yourself to a really uncomfortable point. Only you can decide where you've kind of over stressed, where it's transitioned from being a good, healthy stress that helps you grow and strengthens you. Give yourself permission to let go of one way or another that you are really trying to reach out of your comfort zone. Come back to a place of comfort. Maybe it's a little, maybe it's a lot. Two more breaths wherever you landed. And then taking your time to hug the knees back in. Maybe extend the knees away from you so that the arms become long. And then exhale, hug the knees in. Next, inhale, let both legs go long, both arms reach overhead, and give yourself a full body stretch, maybe interlacing the hands and the palms are reaching away from you for a little wrist and forearm stretch. And then we'll do a little bit of tensing up and releasing. And so finding an inhale, finding more of a length and really stretch, make it a little bit of a bigger effort than you can imagine. And then exhale, let the body soften and settle. We'll find two more. So as you inhale, tense up the body, stretch the body. Exhale, release. One more time. Inhale and extend and stretch and tense. Exhale, let it go. And then taking a chance to feel that letting go, that releasing of that tension, of that added stress. If you need to do that a few more times, you need to explore it in just one part of your body, I invite you to do so. And then we're going to take some time to settle into a way to be that would be just right for you. Perhaps it's the props underneath the knees, which I'll show in a moment. Or perhaps it's rolling your blanket or your towel long ways so that you've got a nice skinny burrito. Hopefully you're getting ready for some delicious Cinco de Mayo treats. And so you can think of that long burrito. That would be one big burrito, huh? And then we're going to allow ourselves to come right in the mid part of our back and allow us to rest over our burrito so that it lifts the rib cage, allows the heart to lift. Maybe you want to go in full supported fish pose, coming up even higher on a block. Maybe it would feel really nice for you to have the legs propped up. And so I'll show an option that I find really sweet of allowing some blocks, some pillows, some cushions to elevate up, and then allowing the knees to bend over. So you can put a bend into the knees, settling back down into the block, to the earth. You've got a blanket, or maybe you've got another pillow that you want to rest on the shins. Again, if you need any advice on props, on setups, on gear, please let us know. Any member of the teaching tribe would be happy to offer some guidance for you. We may even have some props at the studio that you can access at this time. And so as we come in to this space, I'm going to invite you to notice where we've traveled to, what we visited in the body, in the mind, in the breath. Notice where you've been or what you've experienced that brought you joy, that challenged you, that stretched you, that strengthened you. Notice what has been a staple for you and riding and flying through those experiences. Maybe there was a mantra, a word, or an image, maybe a sound that you made with that exhale. Here's the sensation of the breath. It's a part of the body that helped you navigate through our experience tonight. We can thank whatever kept us focused and anchored. And then you can put that down and let yourself become aware of just simply being in this moment. Notice how the body and the mind is responding to this time, to the space. Draw your awareness to the parts of your body that are touching the earth, that are grounded and rooted down to the earth. Feeling all the parts of you connected to this earth, lightly touching down. And then drawing your awareness to the areas of your body that are expanding upwards and out. Feel the lift in the front body, that upward and outward direction of yourself. And then noticing the two differences and that place that resides in between the earth and the sky. Noticing that place that is you right in the middle. You simply being you. And in that space, take your time to decide if you want to stay here for a longer time or allowing yourself to ground into the earth and lift up to a comfortable seat. taking time to transition in the way that's just right for you. You can linger longer in that transition place. You notice each of the trees, they leaf out and they bloom their own time. The time that is just right to attract those pollinators. And they're ready to do their work. So take your time, transition when you're ready to a seated posture. You can let those eyes be still closed. Notice as you come into the space that we began in, how that feels for you. Taking some time, again, with eyes closed to survey the landscape of you. Inwardly focused, rooting down into the earth, lifted to the sky. I'll read for you from one of my dear friends and a fellow tree sister, Lisa Cole. This is her book, Roots and Wings. And this is titled J and B. I spy two lovers and the space between them. Distance only years can create. Years of withheld and mismanaged words, layers of blame and resentment for dreams gone by. 1 inches, one away, 1 inches, the other near. Gradually, a cavern so grave, to reunion seems inconceivable. The demands of fresh outlook rest solely on them. If only one could see. To flip their image upside down, they truly are a pair of wings, yoked together to sense harmony, disembodied enough to remain unique. Discord gives way to relief and gratitude, as they are humbly reminded it takes two wings to fly. Let it go, let it be, effortlessly taught by a tree. And this poem was born on November 14th, 2017. And this here is an image of J and B. So that is from Roots and Wings by Lisa Cole. And ironically, Lisa and I were born one day apart, a few years. And I hope that you feel some union, some roots and wings, some grounded and liftedness. And until we meet again, thank you so much for being here. Wishing you much love, much wellness. Namaste. I invite you too, if you feel called, to donate on our page. Check out other videos that we have. Reach out if there's a way that anyone from the Namaste Teaching Tribe can support you on your journey to root and rise.